If you'd like to be heard, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes to address our budget, including the 4 funding items. Mr. Johnson, please give us your name and address, please.
My name is Clark Johnson, 6118 Masters Boulevard in Billings. I spoke last week. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again. I am here as a resident of Billings and also as a member of the Parks Board, but I also am not representing the Parks Board. I am most likely a dissident member of the Parks Board, to put it quite frankly, okay? I've been on the Parks Board for about 6 or 8 months, and I first ran into an issue with the Parks Board because I felt like they were treating, not the Parks Board, the Parks Department, excuse me. The Parks Department was treating the senior citizens and senior citizen community center very, very harmfully, okay? Without dignity, they were treated like inmates of an asylum. I raised an objection, went on deaf ears. I asked the question, why don't you do this one thing? And maybe the problem will not be as severe. And they gave excuses why they wouldn't do that one thing. Their excuse was they did it legally and they did it with HR approval. I feel like they did it somewhat without morals, to be blunt, okay? But moving on that first issue, I've run into a second issue with the Parks Department. The second issue is they will not listen to anything I say about Centennial Park and my belief of the needs for, and I've said it before, I'll repeat it again, pickleball activities for Billings. I frankly believe that pickleball is a very good sport for all the people, senior citizens most especially. Many communities in this part of the country, the northwest section of the country, have city-sponsored pickleball for retirement age people, for people younger than that. A pickleball court has 1/4 the size of a tennis court, and therefore, if you're a senior citizen, I am, you can cover that ground much quicker, or at least you can cover it, if not quicker, 1/4 the size of a tennis court. So I asked them, and they said, no, you go get your own money, was the answer that I got. Well, okay, honestly, I represent, if that's a loose term, a number of pickleball players, and nobody has that kind of money to put into pickleball courts. So I am asking specifically to the $2.46 million that is in the budget to be approved, that the council explicitly demand that the Centennial Park have at least 6 pickleball courts as part of its build-out, not necessarily next week, this year, as part of its build-out, at least 6 pickleball courts with sideline seating. That's one item, please. And the second item would be that in the 2019 budget, at least $20,000 be appropriated for current pickleball improvements in Billings, in the current Billings parks. Thank you. That's really my comments.
Timing. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Appreciate it. Other members of the council, please come forward. Be heard on item number 2.
Tom Zerbluen, 1747 Wicks Lane. I'm going to urge you to deny the $2.46 million for improving parks. You spend this money on Centennial Park, and how are you going to maintain it? Parks Department is broke. This is a new park. This is going to cost additional maintenance, and you don't have any park money to maintain it. Now, there is a solution. PMD1 was originally set up and sold to the public and the city council to do a list of $9 million of deferred maintenance items, and that's what it was for, and a cost of $2 million. To change that is a tax increase. Our charter is quite clear. Tax increase requires a vote of the public. You haven't done that, you must do that. If the public wants to invest in parks, they'll vote for it. That is what it takes. Have a vote. If the public wants to invest more money in park, you've got money to build parks, and then you've got money to maintain it. To build a park now that you cannot maintain under your current budget is just ridiculous. $2 million, then watch it sit and burn up and dry up because you can't maintain it? Where's the money going to come from out of your existing budget to maintain this new park? This is wrong. Let's go to the voters and decide and do it right. We haven't done a park in years, and putting it off a year isn't going to change the facts. It'll just enforce and have open, honest, transparent government by the people, for the people, not a few deciding for all. As far as the paramedics, we haven't had them, we haven't needed them. The ambulances get there in plenty of time. Again, this is $150,000 of tax money you don't have. How are you going to afford it in the future? How many more firemen are going to become paramedics? Are we going to end up with a fight between our paramedics and the ambulances? Who's in charge? Let's leave it alone. Let's let it do what it's been doing. Nobody's died. We're doing great. I have been victim, and my mother has been victim that needed 911. It worked great. Let's not change things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Bruce, just for my clarification, wasn't the line item for the paramedics 100,000 as opposed to 150? I just want to make sure I'm tracking correctly here.
Mayor Cole, that's correct. What that is approximately $70,000 for the initial implementation training, certification of the program, and then because that would take some time during the year, an estimated salary or wage increase of approximately $30,000 to make a total of $100,000.
And then the wage increase of 30 plus would be a long-term cost and could be more than that, I suppose. But
Mayor Cole, I believe that the projection is that a full year operation and with up to 33 paramedics, which we know we won't actually field that many initially, that the estimate would be about $70,000.
yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Other members of the public like to be heard, please come forward on this item.
Good evening. My name is Tom Ripsis. I live at 105 Legends Way in Billings. I am the Vice Chair of the Parks Board. I just want to thank you all for agreeing to move forward with the Parks Development Plan. It's something that I know we on the Parks Board have been working on for a long time. And it was really exciting to hear you guys last week support the effort to get parks built, specifically this year, Centennial Park. Councilmember Ronning, I wanted just to address real quickly Landon's legacy. I hope this time next year, I'm standing right here lobbying you to match their funds. Their initiative to raise $1.5 million is going to do wonders for our city and just services to kids and adults that really need them. And I will be right here lobbying you to find it in general reserves or Park District 1 or whatever way we can next year to match that. The $2.5 million this year is really designated for Centennial Park, specifically because that's the amount of money it will take to develop the basic infrastructure at that park. So if we siphon some of that away to put at Poly Vista, which honestly isn't quite ready to go there yet, but I think we'll be there very soon. We can't accomplish what we need to at Centennial so that we can get the ball rolling on other things, including pickleball or dog parks or whatever have amenities that we need to have at Centennial Park. So that's the only thing I wanted to address. I know we've got a long agenda tonight, so I'll answer any questions or just sit down and let you get on with it.
Councilmember Brown and then Councilmember Ronning.
Thank you, Mayor. The question is, this $2.46 billion does not finish Centennial Park.
No.
Phase one.
Yes, that phase one gets us irrigation, parking lots, grass, sidewalks, the basic infrastructure of the park so that it can be usable and that we can put further amenities on it, such as playgrounds and dog parks and pickleball courts and splash pads or whatever those things are. It really just gets us a greenscape, gets us places where people can use the parks, gets us, basically 13 acres of usable space as opposed to a prairie dog farm.
So there's one more phase for Centennial or two?
So what you've heard from Mike the past couple sessions is that right after this, we're going to go into phase two. The plan that the Parks Board developed and has been presented to council is not necessarily to go into phase two. It's to actually follow more of the mayor's approach and to get the Parks Foundation and other organizations energized into public-private partnerships to build the amenities out at the park. So we'll find a service club that might be interested in doing a picnic shelter or a playground or something like that, or we'll work with the dog parks group to come and get matching funds to build out that dog park. That's really what phase two is. In the presentation, the budget presentation earlier, to me, it sounded like we're going to just roll straight from that into a budget request to, build out the last $3 million or whatever kind of complete list of amenities we might want to have at Centennial. That wasn't the intention or the plan that the Parks Board was presenting. Our intention is really to go more for public-private partnerships to build out the amenities.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilmember Yakovich. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Ronning.
So thank you so much for that explanation. And also, can you explain how the public money with the group that's been raising the money for the dog parks, how that fits into this? So the city puts forward the $2 million and the $460,000, and that gets the basic infrastructure. How does that public money that's sitting there that they've been raising for the dog park, where does that fit in and how does that fit in?
So what we imagine is that as soon as we've got a greenscape there, the organizations like the dog parks will be able to go out and ramp up their fundraising efforts, which have honestly been put at hold for 4 years since we adopted the Centennial Plan. They started fundraising, built up $60,000 or $70,000 worth of funds. But then there's no infrastructure there to support a dog park right now. The city couldn't do their part. So we envision them coming forward and really being able to ramp up their efforts and partner with the city to build that. And maybe at first it's just a fence, and then we can move forward from there.
Councilmember Yakovich.
Thank you, Honor, and thank you for your investment on the park and Mr. DeVore and others. I know that as council, we really want to give to all the parks, but we really want to love up this park here with $2 million plus. Will you be able to come back to us in a month or two and just show us what infrastructure you put in there and give us a bang for our buck? So that next time you come, we'll have even more confidence to invest more.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for that. One of the challenges the Parks Board, as I think all the city boards face, is that we're not really an oversight board, so we can't direct staff or really oversee staff's efforts in this regard. But what I'd like to do, and I think Rick, who couldn't make it here tonight, what we'd really like to do is, tomorrow after you guys, bless this budget, and we've got the funds to move forward with Centennial, get together immediately with Mike and Mark Jarvis in the Parks Department and really sit down and say, okay, this has to go right. This has got to be done on time, on budget, and we need to get council regular updates, just like you're saying. Come back in a month and say, here's where the construction documents are and what's included in there. And let's make sure that we're not planning, splash pads, when really what we need to do is just get the infrastructure in and focus on the things that are most important right now. So that's what I'd like to see. That's a role that I think the Parks Board can work with over the next year. And if you guys agree, I'd like to be able to give you regular updates on how that's progressing.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Gibb.
Yeah, thank you.
And do you have some questions, or should we have Tom sit down? You got a question?
I got a
Okay,
question.
good.
Yeah. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
So in addressing what Mr. Zabakan said, are we cannibalizing all the other parks through deferred maintenance by not investing in them versus starting a brand new park and having more expense?
Yeah, Park District 1 does a great job and has been very successful in helping the city deal with our long-term maintenance needs. The general fund budget of the Parks Department has really no capital space or space in it to do capital projects. So every dollar that we have for Park District 1 goes to maintaining and working on those life cycle replacement projects that have to happen in the parks and are honestly never going to stop. Right? Unless we put a glass bubble over a playground, it's going to deteriorate. And anything that we put in this year, we're going to have to replace in 20 years or whenever the time is. So, Park District 1, originally there was a list of $9 million of emergency projects, but that was $9 million of a list of that was $20 to $30 million of deferred maintenance. Right? So that $9 million was really just the things that were emergency status. I don't think developing Centennial poaches from that, unless we were to do something where, and there was a proposal out a while ago to use the existing Park District 1 funds that were being used for maintenance projects to develop Centennial or to develop trails or whatever. That would be cannibalizing our efforts to maintain our parks. Developing a new park does not do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Rupsis before he sits? If not, thank you very
you all.
much, Tom. This is a time for public comment on item number 2. The budget resolutions, please come forward if you would like to be heard. You'll have 3 minutes. Any other public comment on item number 2? Is there any other public comment?